as everyone should know by now, if you don't, there's no excuse, really. Last Thursday, very unexpectedly, Lionsgate announced that Francis Lawrence will be directing Mockingjay Part 1 and Mockingjay Part 2. This announcement sort of came out of the blue. I was not expecting it at all. I was just slightly shocked. I think it took me a while to even process it, that it happened, but responses have definitely been varied, so we will share our thoughts on Francis Lawrence directing the Mockingjay films, and then we have some great comments that some of our listeners left on our promo for tonight that we will share. So I think that we should go in alphabetical order, and we will start with Adam. A for Adam. Adam, what do you think about this?
Well, I'm really happy about the continuity. I think it's great that we're going to have the same director. Of course, I kind of wish that would be Gary Ross going back to the first movie. But I think the only scary thing to me, and I know we talked about this, what if Francis Lawrence does not do a good job with Catching Fire? Then what do we do? Then we're stuck with him for 2 more movies and presents a bleak picture. So it's a little bit scary, but, so is A Stranger. And the fact of the matter is Lionsgate must really be liking what Francis Lawrence is doing to give him this vote of confidence. And it didn't seem like this was possible. So I enjoyed, and maybe when we get to Theresa alphabetically, she'll have something to say about this, but I really enjoyed having David Yates direct the last 4 Harry Potter films. I thought it was terrific to have that kind of continuity in 5, 6, 7, and 8, and it really showed in the quality of the movies and the commonality between sets. So I'm happy. I'm psyched about this move. I just hope that we're not rewarded with having somebody that we ultimately don't want. But I think it's all going to work out very, very well.
Just a very, very brief side note. Rebekah reminded me earlier today that Saturday was actually Gary Ross's birthday, and I don't think anyone even mentioned it or acknowledged it anywhere, which is kind of depressing. So happy birthday, Gary Ross, wherever you are.
Yes, happy birthday, Gary. If Gary Ross was boss in general, Gary Ross is really boss on his birthday. I think we can all agree on that.
I felt terrible because I put it in my calendar to remember, and then I was at the ice arena with my daughter from, 7 a.m. on till 7 p.m., and I completely forgot, even though my calendar reminder came up at one point, and I'm like, and then I completely forgot until I saw something today, and I'm like, oh my gosh. That's my brain right now.
Well, I felt terrible because I have a Google Calendar set up with all of the actors' birthdays and all of that, but I guess I had just neglected to put Gary Ross in there, so I felt super guilty. But happy birthday, Gary. Okay,
it was also Meta Golding's birthday.
It was? When?
I don't know. I think it was the 3rd.
Same day as Gary Ross? Let's look this up. Meta Golding's birthday. November 2nd.
November 2nd.
So that was last Friday. Well, happy belated birthday to Meta Golding. And this Thursday on November 8th, that is Bruno Gunn's birthday. So happy birthday in advance to Bruno.
And today is Julia Prescott's birthday.
Which day is Bruno Gunn's birthday exactly?
Thursday. It's the 8th of November.
We like you so much, Bruno. We're actually going to wish you a happy birthday again next week in retroactive celebration.
We're so nice.
And this is Savanna. This is a very, maybe not so subtle double entendre, but you might say, wishing him a happy birthday 4 days later on next week's episode could be a bit of a reach, but we'll have to see what happens with that. That's your clue about next week's episode, by the way. to anybody listening.
Sorry.
Oh,
God, I'm slow. It took me a second. And I know exactly. Wow. Okay. No one else will have any clue what we're talking about.
It did, as long as it reached you eventually. That's what counts.
Hold on.
Okay. So moving on. Well, let's just move on. So Crystal, we're going in alphabetical order. Crystal, how do you feel about Francis Lawrence returning to direct Mockingjay parts 1 and 2?
I'm like Adam said. I'm a little worried because what if we don't like Catching Fire? But at the same time, I'm really happy that we actually have a director for Mockingjay because I was starting to get worried. I was starting to think, how come they don't have a director yet? I just kept thinking, aren't they going to have to film like next year? So shouldn't they have someone on board? But yeah, so it's kind of like half and half for me, and I'm not going to know how I feel for sure until we see maybe like a trailer for the movie or something.
I think that is perfectly reasonable. Ellie, what about you?
I agree with a lot of other people. So I like it in terms of, I feel like it's a good sign for what people have seen of Catching Fire, that they like what they see and they want him to stay on board. It makes me a little nervous for a couple reasons, though. For one thing that we did hear from some of the Harry Potter directors was a fear of burning out. And I'm a little worried about, because he will have to go straight from Catching Fire to Mockingjay Part 1 to Mockingjay Part 2. And that makes me a little nervous in terms of him, like, being just done with it by the end and, like, wanting to get it over with. I don't think that will necessarily be what happens. It just makes me a little uneasy. However, the continuity, I actually disagree with Adam about the David Yates thing, because I was actually really upset when I found out David Yates was doing the rest of the movies, because 5 and 6 are my least favorite Harry Potter movies. So it terrified me for 7 and 8. But I did like 7 and 8, but that news terrified me because I hate 5 and 6. So that's my own personal thing.
I think part of the problem is that, regarding the burnout thing, I think we knew pretty early on that Gary Ross was super, super passionate about the series. He was very vocal from the beginning about how much he loved it, and I don't think we've really heard a peep hardly from Francis Lawrence. If he would come out and sort of, not even necessarily do an interview, but make some sort of statement, I feel like that would be reassuring. But I don't even know, we have no way of knowing what he's even thinking. Rebekah, how do you feel about Francis Lawrence finishing off the franchise?
Well, I guess I'm about as mixed as everyone else. I have seen his other films. Like, I think all of us have seen his other films by this point. So he doesn't make awful films, and going along with everyone else, I like the idea of continuity. Now, I'm not like a huge Harry Potter fan, so my frame of reference for a series that had the same director or creator or producer or whatnot throughout its tenure isn't Harry Potter. I mean, yes, it was nice that I did see all the Harry Potter movies, but I don't know where my brain is going right now. But it's like Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, when with Peter Jackson in control of that franchise, and then they had to wait almost 10 years for everything to be aligned in place for him to take over for The Hobbit again, it just made sense because he'd already some of the stuff with Lord of the Rings, so taking over Hobbit just felt right. Now with Francis Lawrence doing Mockingjay, I think I'm more weirded out that there isn't a script yet. I think it's a little strange that they have directors in place for these two films and there's no script, so he doesn't know who he's going to be working with. So technically I think we know who's writing the script, although it hasn't been outrightly confirmed, right? Right, Sony?
Yeah, I mean, Elizabeth Banks made that blog post, but that has since been deleted. So it seems like it's official, but it isn't, which is really annoying.
Official. How do you okay, he has the book, he has the cast, well, most of the cast in place. I'm wondering if because they have the same director, it will be the same director, they'll continue to film most of it in the Atlanta area and just keep the existing sets that they have built. Like everyone else, I have really no way to form a solid opinion because I have no idea how well he's putting Catching Fire onto film. And there hasn't really been very much said from the cast or whatnot because they're not really allowed to say anything.
Yeah. I personally feel the same way. I was thrilled in a sense because continuity is really important to me in a film franchise. So on the one hand, I was really, really excited. But like everyone else has said, we don't know if Catching Fire, if we're going to like it or not. We probably will. It'll probably be, an incredible film that we all adore. But, maybe we won't like it. And I don't know. I kind of wish that they had waited to make the decision. But I know that, they're on a time crunch. I don't know. I'm not sure. I wonder what they're basing this on. I mean, I know that they've probably seen footage of what he's done so far, but I don't know. I'm on the fence. Once we see a teaser or a trailer, then I'll probably be happy about it. But I mean, I'm not happy, but I'm not, I don't know if I can be excited yet just because I don't know if I'm going to like Catching Fire. Oh, I'm rambling again. Theresa, what do you think?
I think the biggest shock to me at the beginning was that Lionsgate actually, we had the rumor, which was, had a good source behind it from Collider, but it didn't take Lionsgate very long to come back and verify it and actually come out and say, yes, this is true. And I'm so used to them, when rumors come out, I'm so used to it being like days before they confirm anything, if at all. I think I was more shocked at the confirmation than the rumor itself when it first came out. I was like, seriously, did they just confirm that? Because, just hours before it was a rumor, and it's like, I'm just not used to that kind of a timeline from them. Out of anything, I think what made me, the continuity is huge with me. I can't, jumping around from director to director, it in a series irritates me because it can sit there and pick at what's different, and it bothers me. So I'm really glad that they're sticking with him. So at least the visual sense of the film should stay along the same line. I mean, I understand the thought of being nervous because we haven't seen anything, but I have to have some kind of faith that Lionsgate has seen the dailies and they've seen what they've been putting together, and they must be happy with something. And they must be happy with a lot of what they've seen in order for them to throw this vote of confidence his way and say we want to keep you. But in twofold, it also, I'm thinking, Lionsgate ran into a lot of problems not signing Gary when they thought they had him in their back pocket for Catching Fire. And right. They didn't sign him, and they ended up having to do this director search, ending up almost being at the last minute in a way to try to find somebody to take on Catching Fire. And I'm pretty sure they don't want to end up in that kind of position again. So, I mean, there may have been talks going on behind, hey, do you want to take these on? And Lionsgate going, okay, we're going to get this, we're getting this done because we're not going to run into the same problem. But I'm really happy that we're not going to have another rumor-filled, like Alfonso Cuarón mess that we had before with all these names and stuff. So it's nice to have things locked in. I am a bit nervous, but to say to what Adam was saying about David Yates, I mean, that's the one thing 5, 6, 7, 8 are my favorite Harry Potter films. I absolutely love what David Yates did with the series. And to have, when Order of the Phoenix was completed and they said he was doing, Half-Blood Prince, I was very excited. And then in the middle of Half-Blood Prince, they said, okay, that's it, he's on for the rest of them. Just to have that, that kind of a sigh of relief that, okay, we know who's in charge. And we're not going to have that shake-up in the middle somewhere of not, that fear of, okay, who are they going to pick, who are they going to pick, who are they going to pick, So I'm kind of babbling, but I think when we finally see something, I think we'll hopefully see what Lionsgate is obviously, because I can't imagine that they're going to throw the last two films at somebody without knowing for sure that that's who they wanted to take them on. So I have to think that way. Otherwise, I'll just go into panic mode. I don't want to do that.